Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, a major religious freedom case goes to the Supreme Court. A Christian website designer is challenging a Colorado law in a case being heard today because her religious beliefs don't allow her to create websites for same-sex weddings, even though the state law would require her to do so. The case deals with both religious liberty and freedom of speech.
I think a win from the Supreme Court here sends a really strong message that even if somebody's religious beliefs are unpopular, that doesn't mean you get to silence them.
Elon Musk releases Twitter's files about how it kept the story about Hunter Biden's laptop off its pages right before the 2020 election.
And now we know from Elon Musk that there was correspondence between the Biden campaign and the Democrat National Committee to suppress this story.
Now the Twitter files have once again led to charges political censorship by big tech helped President Biden win, and Republicans promise investigations. The Biden administration proposing new plans for dealing with the southern border, but some of them are drawing backlash. We'll explain why. Sky Marshall says one of the Biden's plans could lead to another 9/11. A new documentary tells the story of the faith of one of America's most popular singers ever, Johnny Cash. We'll bring you our conversation with his son, John.
He always had faith in God throughout his life. When he was at the top of his game, and he was the #1 artist in the world, he still professed his faith.
And country music legend Dolly Parton taking on the devil on her primetime special on NBC television.
Satan, listen up! In God's name I rebuke you!
All those stories and more coming up on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
We begin with the Supreme Court, where a Christian website designer is challenging a Colorado anti-discrimination law in a case being heard today. She says her faith prevents her from serving same-sex couples. As Heather Sells reports, it includes high stakes for religious liberty and freedom of speech.
Lori Smith says her religious beliefs do not allow her to create websites for same-sex weddings. Colorado says that is discrimination. The Supreme Court will now decide.
I've always wanted to create custom artwork for weddings ever since I was a little girl.
Smith left the corporate world to pursue her passion for creating designs for specific causes. Given her biblical beliefs, she hesitated to include weddings after seeing how the state penalized Jack Phillips for refusing to bake a wedding cake for a same-sex couple.
I was cautious about continuing forward because I saw the way that the state of Colorado was treating other people of faith.
In 2018, Phillips defended his religious views at the High Court and won. The justices, however, ruled narrowly, saying hostile statements made by state officials toward him violated his free exercise of religion. Smith's case centers on the larger free speech question and the constitutionality of Colorado's anti-discrimination law. The state maintains wedding vendors must serve all ceremonies. Smith argues that violates her free speech.
It's a really intrusive and a really dangerous thing to tell an artist, you have to create something, you have to speak.
Religious freedom expert Lori Wyndham says this case is very important because protecting religious and political speech is the driving force behind the First Amendment. Colorado's stance, however, is that equal access in the marketplace is what's at stake.
Lori Smith is fully free to choose what websites, services she provides to whom, as long as she does not make the choice to open a business to serve the public. Once she makes that choice, then and only then, she is subject to Colorado's law and has to serve everybody equally.
Smith's legal team disputes that.
Colorado agrees that she serves everyone regardless of sexual orientation, and she simply seeks to choose messages that are consistent with her beliefs.
And her counsel says a win for Smith would be a victory for all beliefs and viewpoints.
This belongs to the LGBT graphic designer who doesn't want to be forced by the government to criticize same-sex marriage.
After 6 years of pursuing this case, Smith has endured severe backlash, including lost business and even death threats. Another reason religious freedom experts say this case matters.
I think a win from the Supreme Court here sends a really strong message that even if somebody's religious beliefs are unpopular, that doesn't mean you get to silence them.
In an era where hostility to people of faith is more common, this case could set clear markers about what is and is not allowed in the marketplace. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Congressional Republicans are promising to get to the bottom of new revelations. Twitter colluded with the Democrats to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story before the 2020 election. And both parties are condemning Donald Trump's call to set aside the Constitution and to redo the vote. Dale Hurd brings us this story.
The so-called Twitter files released by new CEO Elon Musk show that just days before the 2020 presidential election, the Biden campaign demanded that Twitter scrub information critical of Joe Biden and his son Hunter from the site. And it did. When the New York Post tweeted out its story about the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, Twitter removed links and blocked those who tried to share it. It also locked the account of then White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany for tweeting about the story. The laptop, abandoned at a Delaware computer shop, contained emails allegedly showing influence peddling by then Vice President Joe Biden and possible crimes by Hunter. The New York Post reports that the FBI was also involved, warning Twitter to expect so-called hack and leak operations by state actors involving the Hunter Biden story in the weeks before the election. The ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, Representative James Comer, vows to hold Twitter employees and the Democrats accountable for censoring the story.
The problem the Democrats should have is, why were they so scared of the laptop story? And the answer is because the laptop proves evidence that not only did Joe Biden lie to the American people about his involvement with his family's influence peddling and shady business dealings, it also proves that Joe Biden was a part of those shady business deals, and that's something every American should be concerned about.
The Twitter revelations led former President Donald Trump to demand a new election or be declared the rightful winner, even if it's not allowed in the Constitution. Trump said a massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Our great founder did not want and would not condone false and fraudulent elections. The White House said Trump should be universally condemned for the statement, and some Republicans distanced themselves from Trump.
Well, obviously, I don't support that. The Constitution is set for a reason, to protect the rights of every American.
This is atrocious, having anyone that would make statements like that.
The Twitter files have rekindled charges that political censorship by big tech helped Joe Biden win the 2020 election. It's also added fuel to House Republican plans to tackle big tech collusion to suppress conservative viewpoints. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Parents in the city of Chesapeake, Virginia are outraged after a flyer advertising a new after-school Satan club began circulating on social media. Organizers from the Satanic Temple and Reason Alliance will hold monthly meetings at an elementary school starting December 15th. The club was created by the non-theistic religious organization Satanic Temple. According to their website, the group's sole purpose is to give students an alternative to Christian evangelical after-school clubs. Chesapeake Public Schools told CBN News in an email statement, the club is not a school district-approved club and no district employee is acting as a club sponsor. A children advocate in the area is calling on Christians to pray December 15th, saying this is a spiritual battle at this point. We are going to intercede and God always wins. We're going to win and Satan is going to lose. The Chesapeake Public Schools says it will add discussion about the club to the agenda for its next regular meeting set for Monday. You can find out more and give reaction at on this club at cbnnews.com. Coming up, with the crisis at the southern border getting worse, we're going to take a look at some of the Biden administration plans for dealing with it and the backlash the White House is getting when we come back.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed
packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible, yes, Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link. Tuesday morning at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Air marshals are being ordered to the Mexican border. That's the administration's latest plan to deal with a 250% spike in illegal immigration. And the crisis at the southern border is only expected to get worse. Soon, the administration will loose the authority to expel migrants under a COVID restriction known as Title 42. And the plan to use air marshals to alleviate the crisis is generating a big backlash. CBN's Tara Mergener brings us the story.
After a long court battle, Title 42 is set to expire on December 21st. President Biden's plan is set to include more resources, technology, and enforcement to help deal with the millions who continue to pour over the southern border.
El Paso is among the border communities seeing an unprecedented jump in illegal immigration, with numbers up more than 250% from a year ago.
750 migrants have been released out onto the streets.
Some are simply left to wander the city.
Title 42 and this expulsion to Mexico policy hasn't worked. What we've seen is people who get sent back to Mexico, there's nothing to do in Mexico but try to recross the border again.
Even so, the expectation is that loss of this tool will likely lead to even greater numbers crossing the southern border. So the administration is considering drastic measures, including barring some asylum seekers and more prosecutions of illegal border crossers. Another option could expand legal avenues for migrants and asylum seekers to enter the U.S. Although that choice comes as another crisis appears ready for takeoff. Last month, the administration ordered that air marshals would face indefinite deployment to the border to help with migrant needs, like meals and transportation to hospitals. The Air Marshal National Council says its officers are ready to risk termination and refuse that order.
The message is clearly, let's stop another 9/11. We are extremely concerned.
Because it would mean 99% of commercial flights would have no federal protection.
Air marshals are the first, sort of federal employees to actually stand up to the Biden administration and say, no, we have a law enforcement job we need to do, especially as the American public is traveling on planes for the holiday.
All this as House Republicans gear up for investigations into the administration's handling of the border and a potential impeachment inquiry into Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. And President Biden is under scrutiny for not visiting the border.
Is he going to?
So look, he's been there. He's been to the border.
Since 2008.
Lawmakers from both sides say they are concerned, signing a letter to Mayorkas who promises the situation is under control. In Washington, I'm Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Still ahead, a new documentary brings us a look at the faith journey of one of the most famous singers and songwriters in American history, Johnny Cash. I spoke with his son about it. We'll hear from him and have a look at the film right after this.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com to get your copy today.
Johnny Cash, The Redemption of an American Icon, is in theaters today. It's a powerful documentary taking us inside the country music legend's faith journey. We had the honor of sitting down with his son, John Carter Cash.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash, The Redemption of an American Icon. We have a book, now we've got a documentary. What made you commit to being a part of this?
Well, it was my father's mission in life. It's probably his number one mission was to be, a witness for Christ and to share his faith with people.
There's no lonelier place on earth for a man to be than separated from God.
He always had faith in God throughout his life. When he was at the top of his game and he was the number one artist in the world, he still professed his faith.
Success, all the partying, all the money, all the fame, all that. Something is not going to last.
And you begin to realize there's got to be something more.
Past that is a guy who's broken and knows he needs God.
I mean, this is a documentary that covers everything about my father. It truly does. But the focus is on his redemption.
He faced his temptations, he faced his worldliness, and came out wanting to be right with God.
There are many parts of this documentary that are incredibly fascinating. I love hearing his voice also sharing the story. What was it like to listen to those recordings, to see them play out on the screen there?
He surely had to think back and say, was it all worth it?
We were all young and wild and crazy.
How crazy were you?
All as crazy as you can get.
There were a lot of those recordings that we came across just within the past few years.
Wow.
And so I remember who my father was at the time. I remember what he believed in. I remember his sense of humor. So I'm reminded of who he was when I hear those recordings. And there's things in this documentary that that my father never shared anywhere else.
What would you say is, I guess, the newest thing or surprising thing for you to learn? It would be hard to imagine that you're learning something new having spent your life with him, but
there's insight into into his own connection with his father, the way that they healed their relationship later in life. insight into his feelings about his brother Jack, who passed away when my dad was 12 years old and Jack was 14. There's so much there really is. And then there's so much, insight into who my dad was and what he meant to various people. I mean, there's everybody, from Alice Cooper to my father's sister Joanne that's interviewed for this documentary. And so there's a varied insight into who my father was and what he meant to different people.
There was not one person that didn't respect Johnny Cash.
He sort of lived in his own atmosphere.
His unapologetic attitude, that's what made Johnny Cash cool.
We also learn a bit more about the love connection between your mom and dad too in this. I mean, she was incredible to him.
Yeah, I think that people walk up to me and they ask me, say, what's it like to be a product of the greatest love affair that ever was? And I'm like, well, you evidently weren't there. There was a lot going on, but what is beautiful about their relationship is that it endured, and that through the fire, through the struggles that they had, that they did stay together, and that in the end they were closer together than they ever had been. And I think they would have rather had it that way than not. There's a lot to learn from it. There truly is about long suffering, about the fruits of the Spirit, about the blessings that are to come through staying together and through the struggles that go along with it sometimes.
He was darkness and light, living in the same body, and one fought against the other.
There's a lot of talk in the film about the struggle between light and dark.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the fact that your dad's known as the man in black, I mean, that constant struggle. What would you say about that dynamic? Was it something you witnessed or were able to see?
Johnny told me I'm my happiest when I'm performing. But sometimes Cash gets into trouble.
I mean, my father was he'd said it himself, it's like it was two people. I mean, there was Cash, who was the performer, who had the ego that wanted what he wanted and wanted to feel more of it, that struggled with addictions. And then there was J.R., John, my dad, who was a gentle, kind man, always loving, always forgiving, always considerate, thoughtful of other people. But I think by the end of my father's life, he had a lot of connection with understanding who he was and what really mattered to him as a person and as a Christian.
How did he pass on that faith to you?
By walking the walk. He gives me strength today. To continue when I look into the eyes of my children. And he was asked by Larry King on live television one time, what would be the most important legacy that he could leave behind? What's the most important thing? And his answer was that he would be a good father. And so I remember that. And that was when my father was very ill, at the end of his life, and looking and thinking, not thinking about the gold you can't carry into the ground, but looking into the eyes of his children and his grandchildren and believing that he was there for them. And so that's the legacy that in the end that I hope my children can connect also with, is that I hope to be a good father, and he was that to me likewise.
Johnny Cash, The Redemption of an American Icon, is in theaters now for a limited run. It's scheduled to run today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, but audience demand could extend that run. Coming up, country music legend Dolly Parton tells the devil to go to hell in a song on primetime television. We're going to hear what she had to say when we come back. Stay with us.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern Gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crabb Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel. Now available at cbnradio.com.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead, just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Country music legend Dolly Parton passionately rebuked the devil during primetime television last Thursday as she performed her hit song, Go to Hell, during a Christmas special. The Grammy-winning songstress included the tune in her Dolly Parton's Mountain Magic Christmas special on NBC.
I am here to tell you that Satan is real. He is real and walking around amongst us trying to destroy everything that's good and beautiful. He wants to break our hearts and minds, destroy our dreams and plans. He wants to tear us up in little pieces, break us down and send us straight to hell.
Oh my God.
You've said a mouthful, brother. Oh my God can do anything. My God can heal the sick, mend broken hearts, and take our souls to heaven. So, Satan, listen up. In God's name, I rebuke you. I stand up in his name, look you in the eye, and laugh in your ugly face.
All right, sounds like her grandfather there. Parton has been outspoken about her faith. You can get the full story and see the video on the song at cbnnews.com. Time now for your Monday motivation. And today I want to leave you with this thought as we begin another work week together. Know this: God brings hope to the hopeless of circumstances. He brings life to dead situations, and he is the giver of life, the giver of hope, the giver of peace, the giver of joy, and the giver of love. We must not lose sight of that this holiday season. With that word, I encourage you to make today a marvelous Monday and do yourself a favor. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Do it with purpose and on purpose. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to remind you, you can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel. You can also find them online at any time. Simply log on to cbnnews.com. We'd also love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. You can do that by emailing us. The address is right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a marvelous Monday. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye and God bless.